Visionary chosen ones are rare. These signs prove you're one of them. Have you ever sat alone in a crowded room and felt like you could see through the noise? Like you were both part of this world and somehow distant from it? Watching the chaos unfold as if you were planted here for a purpose far greater than survival? If so, you may be one of the visionary chosen ones, souls that don't just follow the path, but carve entirely new ones into the fabric of reality itself. And yet, here's the paradox: you probably doubt it, because the visionary isn't someone who walks around proclaiming their significance. No, the visionary is the one who questions everything, including themselves. I want you to hold that in your heart as we begin this journey. This isn't about ego. This is about recognizing a calling, a frequency so rare that only a few ever fully awaken to it in their lifetime. From the moment I began to question the world, not in rebellion but in curiosity, I realized something unsettling. Most people are asleep, not in the physical sense but spiritually. They wake, they work, they chase goals handed to them by a society that fears change. But you feel the pull, don't you? The tension between the world as it is and the world as it could be. You've sensed, maybe since childhood, that you were different, not better, just tuned to something deeper. You saw beauty in silence. You felt energy in places others called empty. You cried at the sound of a song not because it was sad, but because it peeled open a layer of your soul that words could never reach. You've always been a little too intense for some people, and that's not a flaw, it's a sign.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Visionary chosen ones are rare because they carry a burden that most would collapse under. To see beyond the veil of ordinary life is to carry the weight of knowing, and knowing isolates. It isn't glamorous, it's not about magic powers or being admired. It's about waking up at 3 a.m. with a feeling in your chest that something massive is about to shift. And you don't know what. It's about watching your friends chase things that feel meaningless to you and wondering if maybe there's something wrong with you for not caring about the same things. But let me tell you, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are awakening. You see, visionary souls often go through what I call the sacred dismantling. Life seems to fall apart. Relationships crumble, careers lose meaning, and the things that once brought joy turn hollow. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. The universe strips away everything that is not you so that what is you can finally emerge. You might feel like you're breaking, but what's actually happening is the breaking of illusions, and only from that raw space can the vision be born. The chosen ones are not chosen by some external force. They are chosen the moment they choose truth over comfort, the moment they choose to see even when seeing hurts. And that's the first sign. You've stopped pretending, you've stopped numbing, you've stopped running. Or maybe you're still running, but you're aware of it now. That's progress. Vision doesn't come to the perfect, it comes to the persistent, the seekers, the ones who dare to look into the mirror and ask, who am I, really? Let me ask you something that might change everything. What if the very pain you're trying to escape is the doorway to your purpose? What if the sadness, the confusion, the restlessness, it's not a flaw in your design, but the echo of your soul reminding you, you were made for more than this. You weren't built for a 9-to-5 existence, arguing over trivial politics or chasing likes on a screen. You were built to remember, to ignite, to lead, but not by force, by frequency. Energy doesn't lie. That's why people either feel drawn to you or completely intimidated. Your presence stirs something in others, sometimes inspiration, sometimes discomfort, because you mirror back what they've buried. And that's not your fault. That's your gift. But it's also your responsibility. You can't dim your light just because others find it blinding. You can't shrink to fit into spaces you've outgrown. You are being called higher, and I know that scares you, but fear is not the enemy. Complacency is. Fear is the compass. When you feel it rise, it means you're close to something real, something sacred. I remember sitting in silence for 7 days in a monastery far from everything I knew. No phone, no talking, just me, my breath, and the weight of my own mind. And in that quiet, I heard something for the first time. My real voice. Not the one the world shaped, but the one the stars whispered into me before I was born. It told me, "You're not here to fit in. You're here to remember what others forgot." And I wept. Because I knew it was true. And I know it's true for you too. Chosen ones often carry ancestral pain. You may be the first in your lineage to awaken, the first to break cycles, to question beliefs, to heal wounds that have echoed for generations. That's not easy, but the fact that you feel this pull means you're strong enough for it. The vision isn't random, it chose you because you can hold it. Because you have the courage to walk through fire and still come out radiant. But here's the thing, the vision needs action. It's not enough to feel different, you have to live different. You have to create what you wish existed, speak what others are too afraid to say, stand in your truth even when your voice trembles. You were not made to follow trends, you were made to set them. Not from ego, but from alignment. You don't need 1 million followers, you need inner clarity. Because when that light inside you ignites, it becomes impossible to ignore. People will feel it before you say a word. So ask yourself this, what is the vision that's been whispering to you when no one else is around? What truth have you been avoiding because it feels too big, too risky, too different? That's the doorway, that's the path. And yes, it might cost you comfort, it might cost you approval, but it will give you something infinitely greater. Peace, purpose, power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that liberates. The kind that frees not just you, but everyone who comes into contact with your frequency. You are not here by accident. You are not hearing these words by chance. There are no coincidences at this level. If your heart is pounding right now, if your body is tingling, if your soul is saying yes, then trust it. You are being activated. You are being invited. The question is, will you answer? The isolation before the ascension? Why you're meant to walk alone before you lead others. There is a sacred kind of loneliness that visionary souls must pass through, a silence so deep it echoes through the bones. And in that silence, something alchemical happens. You begin to shed everything that is not truly yours, the masks, the expectations, the borrowed dreams. They fall away one by one, until all that's left is the raw, unfiltered essence of who you are. This is not punishment, this is refinement. Because before you can lead, before you can truly embody the vision that's been planted inside you, you must first walk the road that no one else sees. This isolation isn't the kind that arises from rejection or abandonment, although it may look that way on the surface. This is the isolation that comes when you're vibrating at a frequency that no longer matches your surroundings. You begin to outgrow conversations, spaces, even relationships. And it hurts. It genuinely hurts to watch the life you once knew begin to dissolve. You try to hold on, to explain yourself, to make others understand what's happening inside you, but they can't because they haven't seen what you've seen. They haven't felt that call in the middle of the night, that invisible hand on your shoulder, that whisper in your spirit saying, "There's more." So you feel alone, like a lighthouse in the middle of a storm, always shining, always guiding, but far from the shore. And yet, that's exactly where you need to be. Because the visionary path is not a path of crowd approval, it's a path of divine alignment. And that kind of alignment can't be found in noise. It can only be discovered in the quiet spaces of the soul. The visionary must be emptied before they can be filled. And that's what the isolation does. It empties you of distraction, of illusion, of all the places you've been hiding from your own truth. But here's the secret no one tells you. In that isolation, you begin to see clearly. You start to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You begin to hear your intuition louder than the fear. You begin to feel the presence of something greater. Call it God, Source, the universe, guiding you, not with force, but with deep, gentle nudges. You begin to understand that solitude is not loneliness, it's sacred space. It's where vision is born, not in the noise of 1,000 opinions, but in the silence of one awakened heart. I know it's hard. I know it feels like no one understands you, like you're wandering through a desert with no map, no guide, no destination in sight. But what if I told you that the desert is the initiation? That every visionary, every mystic, every soul who ever brought something truly revolutionary into the world had to first face the silence of being unseen, unheard, misunderstood. What if this isn't the breakdown, but the sacred preparation for your breakthrough? You see, the world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more people parroting the same safe ideas. It needs visionaries. It needs people who've walked through the fire, who've faced their own shadows, who've sat in the discomfort of being alone and emerged with a deeper truth. That's you. That's why you've always felt different, because you weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to awaken. And maybe that's the hardest part, knowing that the very people you love most might not come with you, that not everyone will understand your path, that some will question your choices, your silence, your distance. But remember this, the visionary leads first by listening, not to the world, but to the soul. And when the time is right, the right people will find you, not because you shouted the loudest, but because your frequency became undeniable. So if you're walking alone right now, I want you to know you're not lost. You're on sacred ground. You are not behind. You are in a season of becoming, and that emptiness you feel, that's not a void. That's space being made for the vision that's coming. The deeper you go into yourself, the clearer the path will become. Not all at once, but step by step, moment by moment, vision by vision. Let me ask you something that pierces deeper than words. What if your loneliness is the very place where God speaks clearest? What if the silence you fear is actually the doorway to your power? What if this season of solitude is not a detour, but your destiny in disguise? The truth is, the visionary chosen ones are not made in crowds. They are forged in silence, tempered in solitude, and crowned not by others, but by their own inner knowing. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to remember something ancient, something true, something only you were meant to carry into the world. And when you emerge from this sacred isolation, you will not be the same. You will be clearer, stronger, quieter perhaps, but in a way that shakes the very ground you walk on, because your presence will speak louder than words. It will carry the weight of someone who has seen the truth and lived to tell about it. You are not alone. You are becoming the fire within, how your pain is the portal to a higher calling. There's a fire inside you that refuses to go out. You've tried to silence it, to smother it with distractions, with logic, with all the reasons why you should just be normal and fall in line, but it keeps burning, quietly, relentlessly. And sometimes that fire doesn't look like passion, it looks like pain, like grief, like an ache so deep you don't know where it ends and you begin. That fire is not your enemy, it's your initiation. It is the sacred burn that transforms everything false into something true. And if you're feeling it now, it means you're close to something real, closer than you've ever been. Pain has always been the great awakener. It strips away the illusions we cling to, the roles we perform, the masks we wear to survive. It doesn't care about appearances, it cares about truth. And that's why it hurts so much, because it's burning away everything that no longer serves your soul. The visionary chosen ones don't just feel pain, they embody it, they transmute it. They walk through it not because they want to suffer, but because they know what waits on the other side. Clarity, purpose, power. The kind of power that doesn't control, but liberates. You've been through things that most people wouldn't understand. You felt emotions that had no name, cried tears that seemed to come from lifetimes before this one, and maybe you've asked yourself, why me? Why does it have to be this hard? But what if the real question is, why not me? What if your pain is not a punishment, but a portal? What if it's the very thing that's shaping you into the vessel strong enough to carry your vision into the world? There's a reason the caterpillar dissolves before it becomes the butterfly. It doesn't just grow wings, it breaks down completely. It becomes unrecognizable to itself. And in that disintegration, something miraculous happens. Something new is born. That's what your pain is doing. It's not destroying you, it's remaking you. Every breakdown, every heartbreak, every sleepless night is part of your becoming, part of your story, part of the frequency you will one day radiate so purely that others will feel healed just by being near you. You see, the visionary doesn't lead from perfection. They lead from authenticity, from scars, from experience. People don't follow those who have never bled. They follow those who have bled and still chose to rise. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you chosen. Not that you've avoided pain, but that you faced it, absorbed it, and turned it into something sacred, into insight, into empathy, into vision. There is a fire within you because something ancient lives inside you. There are codes in your soul, memories not just from your life, but from generations, from other timelines, from the collective. You feel things others cannot feel, and you carry burdens others cannot see. But with that comes a gift. You also hear whispers others cannot hear. You sense truths others overlook. You see possibility where others see limitation. That is your power, that is your edge, that is your calling. But you must stop running from the fire. You must stop treating your pain like a mistake and start seeing it as a compass. What if the very thing you're most ashamed of, most afraid of, is the exact thing you're meant to alchemize into light? What if your wounds are not just personal but portals for collective healing? What if your suffering wasn't just something to survive, but something to serve through? When you stop fearing your pain, you start owning your power. You begin to understand that your story, messy, raw, imperfect, is your medicine. The visionary chosen ones don't hide their past. They don't pretend to be untouched. They walk with their shadows in the open, showing the world that healing is possible, that transformation is real, that the fire doesn't just burn, it refines. So I ask you, deeply and without flinching, what have you been running from that is actually your gateway to greatness? What pain have you labeled as weakness, when in fact it is the cornerstone of your strength? What if your greatest wound is the birthplace of your purpose? You're not broken, you're birthing. You're not cursed, you're being carved. Every fire you've walked through has not destroyed you, it's revealed you. And now you stand on the edge of something extraordinary. A life not built on fear, but on vision. A purpose not stolen from others, but forged in the furnace of your own soul. This is what sets you apart. Not fame, not attention, but the quiet knowing that you've touched the depths of human experience and emerged with something real to offer, that you've walked through fire and you chose to carry the light back with you. The awakening of the architect. How to channel your vision into action that changes the world. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the inner fire, once a quiet flicker, bursts into undeniable flame. You've walked through the shadows, sat in silence, embraced the pain, and now something shifts. You begin to feel it not just in your heart, but in your bones. It's time. The vision that once whispered has become a roar. The ideas that once felt distant are now vivid, pulsing alive. And with this awakening comes the final transformation. You're no longer just the visionary, you're becoming the architect. The one who builds the bridge between the invisible and the tangible. The one who doesn't just dream, but manifests. But how do you begin? How do you take something so vast, so sacred, and bring it into a world that often resists what it doesn't understand? The answer is, you begin exactly where you are, with what you have, with who you are right now. You don't wait until you're perfect. You don't wait until you feel ready, because you'll never feel fully ready. Vision isn't about certainty, it's about trust. Trust in the unseen. Trust in that subtle pull inside you that says, build anyway. The visionary architect doesn't wait for permission. They don't wait to be validated. They understand that the world cannot reflect what hasn't been created yet. So they become the mirror. They become the first to believe, the first to try, the first to fail, and the first to rise again. They know that action is the final form of alignment, that purpose without movement is just a dream. But infused with courage, it becomes revolution. You are here to build something that has never existed before. That may not mean a company or a temple or a movement. It might mean a new way of loving, a new way of teaching, a new way of being. And it doesn't have to be loud. Some of the most powerful architects of change are the quiet ones, the ones who live in integrity, who raise children with intention, who speak truth in rooms where silence used to reign, who carry light into spaces that have known only cynicism and fear. That is impact. That is legacy. You must understand that your vision is not random. It's been entrusted to you because only you can translate it into form. Your life, your voice, your energy, it's the perfect vessel. Stop comparing your path to others. No one else has your blueprint. And if you don't build what's inside you, the world will miss something it desperately needs. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone will support you, but those who are meant to resonate will. Once you move, the frequency shifts. Your tribe will find you, not by force, but by vibration. And yes, it will be hard. You will doubt yourself. You will want to quit. You will question everything. But that's all part of the process. Every architect has moments where the foundation feels shaky, but true visionaries don't stop when it gets hard. They deepen, they reconnect, they remember why they started, and then they rise again and again until the vision is no longer just a possibility, but a living testament to the power of unseen dreams made real. So, I ask you, what is waiting to be born through you? What message, what creation, what movement is sitting inside your soul, quietly asking you to give it life? What if everything you've been through wasn't just for you, but for the people whose lives will be changed by what you build? What if your pain was the blueprint, your silence the soil, and your action the seed? You are not here to fit in, you are here to reshape, to bend reality, to make the invisible visible. And you don't need to know every step. You just need to take the next one. Because with each step, the path reveals itself, and before you know it, the vision that once felt like a distant whisper will be standing in front of you, real, embodied, unstoppable. You have already been chosen, not by chance, by alignment. The question now is not whether you're ready. The question is, will you build it anyway?